First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.
What's the temperature right now?
62, I believe.
All right, well, yesterday this time it was like, I don't know, 72. But as for the high today,
right, that's the big difference.
We'll be like 25 degrees cooler today. That is just crazy. Well, it's like what it was like in my house. The humidity was pretty rough yesterday, so you had to crank that air conditioning.
I did the same, and then this in the middle of the night at one point I had to wake up, turn it off, and open the window.
Yeah, it got cold.
And the low overnight is going to be 43.
But then, interestingly, we'll be in the low 70s tomorrow and the 80s by Thursday. And mid-80s all weekend long. So we have some great weather on the way. Okay, and some big news. The Hall of Fame announcing that full capacity.
That's right.
They're reversing course.
There was a few course reversals yesterday.
There were. The fireworks in Utica. Reversal of course. And what else? Were there any others? Oh, the Bills will have full capacity in the fall.
Full capacity, yes.
So this is all pretty big news, as you can expect to see more things begin to open up. I think the State Fair played a big role. Again, an outdoor event, but going to basically full capacity.
Yeah, you have to say, you have to think the fair was the first thing that was announced, and then that 70% capacity, now above 70% capacity in the state, probably helped with that as well.
Defensive lineman Carl Nassib of the L.A. Raiders, or I should say LV Raiders. Do we call it that now? The LV Raiders?
LV Raiders maybe.
Came out yesterday, making him the first openly gay. I guess I'm surprised by this. I thought that maybe there had been others that just weren't highly publicized, but he became the first openly gay active player in the history of the National Football League. He says he did it because, quote, representation and visibility are important. He stressed that he was not doing it for attention.
What's up, people? I'm Carl Nassib. Just want to take a quick moment to say that I'm gay. I've been meaning to do this for a while now, but I finally feel comfortable enough to get it off my chest. I really have the best life. I got the best family, friends, and job a guy could ask for. I'm a pretty private person, so I hope you guys know that I'm really not doing this for attention. I just think that representation and visibility are so important. I actually hope that one day videos like this and the whole coming out process are just not necessary. But until then, I'm going to do my best and do my part to cultivate a culture that's accepting, that's compassionate, and I'm going to start by donating $100,000 to the Trevor Project.
So I kind of thought, are you opening your... Because there may be people within that play on teams in the NFL who are homophobic. And it can cause... is this something that's going to potentially cause problems in the locker room? Is it... And I just don't, the reality is nothing changes in the locker room.
No.
You're just... I guess thinking that there might be somebody in there that might have an interest in you. Okay. But nothing really changes. And the other part of it is, the belief is that there are others in the NFL who have not come out who are homosexual.
Yeah, so, of course, take it with a grain of salt, because just a quick Google search and subsequent Wikipedia looking up, but this says 6 former NFL players have come out publicly after they've retired.
Oh, no one has ever
Nobody
done it
actively.
Active. Yeah,
there was Michael Sam, who was the draft pick of the St. Louis Rams in 2014.
This would be different, as that he came out before he started his NFL career.
Right, so it was actually right before the draft that he had come out as gay. He was drafted by the Rams, but then released before the start of the regular season. So technically, Carl Nassib is the first active NFL player to come out.
So my wife was like, I feel bad because he's opening himself up. He'll be targeted. And I kind of had that settled just a little bit. The fact is, though, every NFL player is targeted, right?
Yeah.
whether you're...
There's a penalty for it. I think there's a flag for that.
I guess there is. But the fact is, the person on the other end of the scrimmage line is trying to crush you.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine anybody would try to crush him any more than they already are, right?
Right.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, and let's be honest, with the social justice causes that have been a part of the NFL, I would find it very hard to believe that anybody would last very long if they were showing any sort of animus or discrimination against Nassib. I mean, it would come out and the team would, be outraged.
I think there will be some. I do think there will be some.
Was Michael Sam on that list that you read?
So we had talked about Michael Sam was actually released by the Rams before the regular season started. So he was technically never an active player.
Yeah, right. He came out of college, announced he was gay, and then entered the draft. And I believe he got drafted, but then obviously, as you said, got cut.
This would be the first to ever come out while, number one, being already active in the NFL. And I think it's kind of a big deal. Although one would say it'd be a lot harder to announce before you become a player that has established himself.
Right. Although
Nassib is pretty much established.
I'm not familiar with him, but he's played some games. He has experience.
Yeah, if you look at his stats, I mean, he's somebody that he's already proven himself.
Well, and good luck, saying anything, homophobic or anything to him at 6'7", 275 pounds.
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, oh, really? What did you just say? Nothing.
Well, you've always heard about it, though, right? That there are players in the NFL who are gay and who cannot come out. We've always heard about that, but we never just knew anyone that was willing to come out, and he did. So it's kind of an interesting, big first step, the first active player in NFL history. And as he says, he hopes that someday these videos that like the one he has made will not be anything that causes any great attention. Yesterday, right, it was a bulletin on your phone. We interrupt this program for the following announcement. Special news bulletin. That was yesteryear. Today, it's the ding that happens on your phone, and whatever you subscribe to, maybe 4 or 5 news services, led with that as breaking news yesterday.
Yeah, the only thing, I mean, look, it's great, and I think he should be accepted, but one of the things is, I don't know him, so I don't think that he's like a me type of guy, but he said he didn't do it for the attention, and then he said, and I'm not saying he did it for intention, but then he said, hopefully someday we don't have to do this.
I completely understand where he's coming from, and I think that you feel I wouldn't know because I don't have anything where I feel like I have to come out to represent people who have a situation or lifestyle or whatever like me, right? So, but I think he feels a responsibility that he's in a position of power, in a position where he is powerful enough and established enough where he won't be hurt by this, that he's coming out for others who, and then his charity is about somebody who was targeted and I believe ultimately died. I don't know the whole story about the charity that he's...
Yeah, the Trevor Fund or whatever. I don't know what that is.
But the reality is, I think that like when Ellen came out, it wasn't necessarily for everybody to see that she was out. It was so that others could feel comfortable that they could come out and not have to hide their lives. And I think that in the NFL, we know it has been hidden. Yeah. So do you see that as I see that as kind of a brave move, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, like I said.
Man, I wouldn't. I mean, think about it.
It should.
You're in the NFL.
Really, it shouldn't matter. I just wonder, so he's, what position?
Defensive end.
So are we going to he's the first openly gay quarterback. He's the first openly gay wide receiver. He's the first openly gay running back. Is that what follows next? I don't know. But look,
first transgender governor of California.
Right.
I imagine that would be news.
So it's
although I spoke with somebody the other day that said they would vote for what's her name again? Bruce Jenner's name? Caitlyn Jenner. They would vote for her in a heartbeat. She's Republican. Her solutions to the problems in California are something that completely fit in this Republican's wheelhouse. and said, if I were a resident of California, I would vote for her.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think I said on the show, or we talked about on the show here, that it'll be an interesting test case because of the fact that she's transgender and Republican. So
right.
if she doesn't do well in California, is it because...
One would think she'd do better as a Democrat or a liberal than a Republican or a conservative.
But the argument would be, if Republicans say no, right? Republicans always get the bad rap as they don't accept this and they don't accept that. So if she ran as a Democrat, Republicans would say, well, she's a Democrat, I wouldn't support her anyway. But I think it's interesting
It makes
to see.
it unique and interesting.
Yeah. Will the Republicans support a
Mm-hmm.
transgender? Will the Democrats vote against a transgender? Or are they more willing to accept that message, even though it's from a Republican?
There's also the first transgender athlete to be competing in the Olympics. And we'll talk to Tanya Powers about that coming up. That I kind of don't completely understand how we pull that off and make it fair.
Well, especially because I think this is a man who has transitioned to a woman.
Right. How do
then
that
person
fair?
Will be weightlifting.
Right.
That's the sport.
How do you make that fair?
Yeah, that's a difficult one because the body is made up differently. Yeah.
National Kissing Day today.
I didn't know they still had that in the era of COVID.
It is. I think it's kind of a. I think it's kind of even more special this year because of the relaxation of COVID restrictions in the United States. However, if you're reading up on any of this stuff, some of the overseas countries and South America is in terrible shape right now, getting bombarded with COVID cases. And but here in the United States, the vaccine is boding well. Interestingly, additionally, in Massachusetts, they say now 1 in 1,000 people who have had the vaccine have contracted the virus. It figures out to about 1 in 1,000 people. We'll ask Dr. Hall, not this morning, but later this week on that question.
Is that a 1/10 of 1%?
I guess, yeah. Well, that's 1/1,000th of a percent, or 1/1,000th, 1 in 1,000 people. So is that a higher number than we would expect? They say about 70% are covered, so that'd be a little bit higher than. I don't even know. I'm not.
Yeah,
good at
one in
math,
1,000 is that's 99.9 something percent. So
right. So. Yeah,
it's actually a very, very low number.
So should it be a surprise? Should it be a headline? Again, we'll leave that for Dr. Hall. What else? Did I mention today is National Kissing Day? Oh, yes, I did. The big fire last night in New York Mills, or I'm sorry, Clark Mills. Andrew, what do we know on cause? Because if you talk to people on Facebook, they all know it was a lightning strike.
Right. It is assumed right now by people that it was a lightning strike that caused it. And, of course, that area of Oneida County had severe thunderstorms throughout the day, but especially last evening. But it was an inactive building in that there was no occupant. There was no tenant in the building. I know it was for lease or for sale.
Right. There was nobody to...
But it's not like, there was power there to it, I'd imagine, but there was no activity going on in the building. Ironically enough, the Clark Mills Fire Department, the first to arrive on scene, they were scheduled to have their field days this weekend kind of right across the street from or close to that building. No word on if that will still happen. I imagine they probably will still hold the events, but at this time it's still under investigation. We've reached out to the Clark Mills Fire Department, but obviously, understandably, they have not been able to get back to us yet. But it shut down the area for a little while. It happened just before 8 p.m., and the fire was looked to be, according to the photos and some video that was discovered.
Man, it engulfed the entire
roof
and top floors.
And the building actually is no stranger to tragedy. It was in October of 2019 that a man was from Utica was working on the roof there, and he was holding a big 30-foot piece of metal roofing, and the wind came and blew him off the roof and killed him.
Yeah, I remember that story.
So at this time, there's no official cause, but definitely there was a lot of lightning activity in the area yesterday.
Today is primary day, and early voting has been taking place for the last week and a half, almost 2 weeks, But today is, being the 22nd, is primary day, your last chance to vote in Oneida, Herkimer, and Otsego counties. And there are several people up. I know there are, that race for town clerk in the town of New Hartford has been something we've heard a lot of people calling in about. And you have, Melody Fansett, Cheryl Jasic-Huther, and Richard Woodland Jr., the three of those people vying for a Republican spot.
And actually, Rick Sherman, who's the highway or the town supervisor, I should say. Right, is it the highway supervisor?
I believe so.
Highway
yeah.
superintendent.
Superintendent. He is facing a challenge from Vin Prestera as well, so that would be an interesting race, as Rick Sherman's been there for quite some time.
Okay, interesting. But I don't know if that is that a primary though.
I don't
think that's a primary. No, so that's you don't vote on that today. So that won't be until, I would imagine, November. Let's see what else. Billy Fusillo's funeral has been set. It will be in the Syracuse area. Details are out there. We mentioned the Hall of Fame has done an about-face, 100% capacity for Derek Jeter. That's going to be enormous. That means all those people can start quickly, because you only have a little time, but quickly renting out their properties and for Derek Jeter, and who's the Larry Walker, who played with the Utica Blue Sox, is going into the Hall of Fame as well. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So Jeter's going to get his moment.
He is. It's going to be on a Wednesday afternoon, so I think the crowds will be huge, but maybe not record breaking, as would have been the case otherwise. But yeah, so they changed course on this 100 times, but I understand why. So it got canceled initially. Then they were going to have it this year, but they moved it to September. It was going to be indoor only. You could only see it on television on the MLB network. Then they moved it back outside and said, limited capacity. You have to have a ticket to attend. Tickets were free, but you had to get a ticket in order to be there. And then yesterday they came out and said, yeah, just show up.
Yeah. It was revealed yesterday that the Conservative Party has been President Trump reached out to the Conservative Party in the Syracuse area and has said that he won big there, won big in the area. I will help with a campaign to find a new candidate to replace John Katko. So the former president getting involved in that one. So far, there is no candidate. Part of the problem you have there is there are far more Democrats, and I don't know the exact ratio, but I think it's a little different than what we deal with in the 22nd.
Yeah, I think you're right. And the other thing is, I mean, he's got broad support, right? Republicans like him, Democrats like him.
So he voted for impeachment. So
we're going to replace him with a Democrat is what's going to happen. That's a great idea.
That could very well be the case, because you're going to get somebody that's too far conservative for that district, and the Democrat gives the Democrat an opportunity.
I bet you the Democrats they're rubbing their hands together.
Well, I think that
let Trump
exactly
get in there
right.
and destroy some of the candidates that we have who have won races. Yeah, let's have him rip down.
We mentioned
he's talking in there. I couldn't hear him.
That would be if he loses the primary. I mean, you could have Trump come in and campaign for whoever would be his primary challenger, but given the voters in that area and the support that he does have, he would have to obviously lose that primary for that to happen.
Right,
which I don't think will happen. I don't know that Katko will lose a primary.
Well, that's the theory, though, Andrew. That this is all. Jeff's absolutely right. That's the theory. So that you come in with a far right conservative candidate in a district that's a little, in this case, a moderate district.
Right.
And what you do is you walk the Democrat right to because they can win the primary, but they can't win the general.
Right.
That becomes the fear of what could happen. Now, let's be honest. President Trump is a wild card in everything that he has done. Everyone who's said this isn't going to work, somehow he finds a way to work it out, although not in the case of winning a second term.
Correct.
Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.